Hey, I'm Jam.
I'm Jason.
And welcome to Podcast for Your Life, where non-experts share personal stories and unsolicited,
but much needed, analyses of life, one topic at a time.
In 15 minutes or less.
Or it's half off.
Oh, we're doing half this time. That's cool.
75% off.
Yeah, that way we can save a little bit of money.
Additional 30% off all green tagged podcast episodes.
Yep. On Wednesdays.
And then 10% back if you open the Podcast for Your Life credit card.
Yeah. Which also has a worse interest rate than that. So you kind of...
That's right.
We come out on top.
I wonder if there's like a 100% interest rate card, where it's like...
gosh. The same amount.
If
you owe $1.
Pay it, you're going to owe both of us $2.
Yeah. Dude, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to just get in the road and travel to a long-distance relationship.
Oh, that's great. I don't really have the time for that.
Wow. So wait, how did things work out with all of your family and to live out of town?
I thought you meant if we needed to go
right now.
On those right now.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't have time.
Sorry, yeah, that's confusing. Long distance relationships.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's kind of it's kind of common too.
Yeah. Because people move.
Yep.
Yeah, either you move or somebody moves. The chances of that happening in your lifetime are pretty high.
Yeah. So we picked the word relationship because it means both romantic and not. So like family, friends, also romantic relationships, any of those.
Coworkers.
That are more than a little bit of distance.
Life insurance agents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All of the above.
Yep.
So, what is a long distance relationship?
I always think what's funny is that we have long in there, like long distance, as if we really needed to say long.
Yeah.
Because,
I guess it could be distance.
My family's like 3 hours away, and a lot of people in this area have some family that are like super close by, like within an hour.
Sure.
And so to me, 3 hours, relatively is long. Mm-hmm. And it's enough distance to where you can't just like hang out for a meal, You'd want to like go spend a couple days if you can. So that's kind of what I think of. It's long enough to where most of the spending time you have to do with those people are on the phone or FaceTime or Skype or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or in order to see them in person, it takes a considerable amount of effort and planning to do so.
Yes. Okay. So it's like more, it's at least a day trip, if not an overnight multi-day stay.
Yeah.
When I was younger, we lived in Massachusetts, and my mom's side of the family lives up there, so maternal grandparents.
Yeah.
And my dad's side of the family lived out west, like grandparents specifically lived in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But to me, as a kid, we lived like 30 minutes away from my grandparents in Massachusetts. And that to me felt like a long distance relationship as a kid. So I was just like, we'd get in the car and it would take forever to get there, even though it only took like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Grammy and Grandpa live so far away.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I'm like, man, they were so close. Mm-hmm. Like 30 minutes, that's nothing.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, that is interesting. We had my mom's parents, so same deal, lived in Abilene. And so it was like a 15 or 20 minute to get to them. And so it really was not bad at all. Mm-hmm. And so same deal. And then like everybody else seemed so far away because of that. Like
sure.
We had people, a lot of them were still in Texas, but it felt like they were so far because at least one set of our grandparents were right there in town. So it was kind of weird.
It can feel like especially weighted, not in their favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, long distance relationships. It's obviously subjective, but they're out there. They're a ways away.
Yep.
We're just like kids. Everything's long, but as an adult, long distance means it's going to take a while to get to your friends and family and significant others.
Yeah. One thing that's really interesting about it now, I'm not sure if long distance relationships are more common than they have been in the past, but the opportunities we have to communicate are obviously a lot more. And so I think some of the long distance relationships happen more often or they last longer.
Sure.
Not necessarily that it's a good thing, but in terms of friendship, sometimes it's like it's nice because you can keep up with somebody and you can even do FaceTime or text or
FaceTime, Skype,
whatever it is.
Facebook.
There's a lot of ways to keep up with each other, which is pretty cool. And that was like a lot harder in the past. I'm not sure if you really use that to its fullest potential and actually like take advantage of it, but it is cool that we live in a time where like distance doesn't have to be so separating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. As our society has become more connected, it's just been easier to keep in touch with people.
Yeah.
Like I have this one friend, his name's Mark. Hey, Mark, I don't know if you listen to the show, but shout out to you.
Yeah.
He and I were friends when my family moved to Virginia in the early 2000s. And we became close, and we've still kept in touch, 20 years later or whatever.
Yeah.
And man, that makes me sound really old. Like 15 years later, there you go. For a time when we moved to Texas from Virginia, he and I wrote to each other like pen pals. Like
Really?
we would type out letters and mail them to each other for like several years. And I actually still have copies of all those letters because it was kind of fun. It's fun to read like what our 12-year-old selves were like thinking and into at the time.
Yeah.
But nowadays, we've emailed, we've talked on the phone, we've done, video calls and stuff like that. But it's cool to like have somebody who you've known for a long time. And I think of like my parents who have had, friends their whole lives that live all around the country, and just what it was like, for them to have, occasional phone call, or you get the Christmas letter from those folks. So it's fun to have friends in different parts of the country, and to maintain those friendships.
I honestly have not been that great at that. Like I have a friend in Florida now. I just actually found out he lives there. I had no idea that he lived there until like 2 weeks ago. Grew up with him, done horrible at keeping up. And that's a two-way deal. Like it's not like it's just me, but there's like, I'm like, man, yeah, I really wish I would keep up with people better. I have a friend on the other coast in California who was one of my best friends growing up, and just barely keep up with him. And it's a thing I wish I was better at, but I think what's hard is that even if I do like, email, text, or FaceTime or something like that, it doesn't feel the same as getting to be around somebody and have somebody be part of your life. Yeah. And so I kind of have a hard time thinking about them as much. I miss them, but I don't think about them in my daily life because they're not around me and not like part of my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would agree.
That just kind of makes it hard. But
one of the things I do is, you have an iPhone, so it might be different, but one of the things I can do on my Google Messages, because I have Android, shout out to Android, is I can archive messages. And so I can basically clean up my messages inbox by, I don't have to worry about like, if I want to, view my message history, I don't have to delete it. I can just archive it so it cleans up my inbox. But what's nice about that is then I can be like, I want to stay in touch with this person. So I can archive all the ones of people who I'll see in a couple weeks from now, or I'll see on Sunday. But I archive the ones except for those people that I can just kind of keep them a little bit front of mind. Like, they still exist, and I want to like still, keep in contact with them. Yeah. So that's one of the things I've done to, I don't know, stay in touch with old friends, whatever. But I feel like it also depends. Like, I think there's some folks, like Mark or one of the guys in my wedding party who you just like. It's easy to, at least for me, it's easy to like get back into things with them as far as like. When you hang out or you talk on the phone, like you don't have to be like, so tell me how have the last 5 years been, like, it's like we've talked semi-frequent enough, and you feel like you don't have to, get through the formalities in order to like be, opening up to each other again. You can kind of just jump into conversations. Yeah. And I think that's a cool sign of long distance friendships is it's like, hey, I haven't seen you, in person in a year, but you're here and now we're already goofing off at Raising Cane's,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's and it happens.
So it sounds like a very specific story. You have
it's very specific. I don't have a story. It's just like, general ideas. So it's nice to have
the most. Like that really is nice. The most significant long distance ish relationship I've had that did like pan out is
that sounds really sad.
I know. I mean, yeah.
You mean in a specific way. Yeah.
Is that my wife and I, for the first like 2.5 years of dating, were in different towns that were 3 hours away. So
nice.
That was like
That's long enough.
Super not fun. We were thankful for like FaceTime and stuff, but you do just kind of get like tired of those things because they're not in person. Yeah. So they just kind of remind you like, it's cool, I can see you. But it's after enough FaceTime calls, you just are like, it's not real life. It's not like getting to be together. So
do you feel like when you guys were together, you would value your time more?
Yes, for sure. And it was like, I'd go back for a weekend, and my parents were also in the same town where Em lived for a while. So it's like, I got to see my family and stuff like that too. But it kind of make it hard because it was like, okay, if I go back, I want to spend as much time with Em, but also with my family because this is where they live, and I don't want to just be like, hey, I came to town, but I barely saw them, and I just slept at their house.
Yeah.
And so...
Sorry, Mom, I wasn't here for you.
Yeah. But it was interesting. It was definitely really, really hard. And
sure.
It was totally worth it. It was a lot of work. It was totally worth it. But it was really, really hard. And I feel like if I could change anything about it, I would like try to get us in the same town sooner, because she ended up eventually moving to the Dallas area, which is why it has like a happy ending.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And I mean, even a happier ending, you guys got married.
Yes. Yep. So we didn't have to go. Well, it would have been weird to like be long distance and then get married. Like,
sure.
It was really great to have.
That would have been hard.
Live in the same town for a while too, and then we got married. So
nice.
That just made a big difference to get to actually be part of each other's lives.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's my biggest beef with long distance relationships is it's super valuable to keep up with people that you care about, but it does feel like no matter how much you keep up with them about facts and figures of their life, it kind of feels like you can't really be present in their life and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my biggest, the biggest drawback, I think, for long distance. But,
absolutely.
But if there's a chance that you can be back in the same town again, then it's kind of like you're just continuing to invest in a relationship that could end up being part of your daily life again in the future.
Yeah.
So
imagine what it was like when you had to like write letters on horseback and it would take months or weeks. Or if somebody lived like in a country overseas, it would take months for you to sometimes hear about them. Yeah. That happened. Like there would be times where I remember hearing stuff where some guy moved to a different country for work or something like that, and found out that his wife died like 9 months later because it took that long to hear about. So that's the struggles. Nowadays things are a little bit better, but still it's rough. Yeah. We do want to give a couple of shout outs to some of our listeners who have successfully navigated the stormy seas of long distance relationships. Besides Jim. Throwback to episodes 54 and 60. 54 was the episode about crying, featuring the one and only Tim Pyatt. Yep. Hey, Tim. And he was long distance with the guest of episode 60. Yeah. Our goodbyes episode, featuring the now Emily Pyatt. Yes. So they you can listen to their episode, the one about goodbyes specifically, because Emily talks about their goodbye ritual. Oh yeah. And so as they're like going and leaving and flying away from each other, because they were a long distance for a time, they had a ritual. So go back and listen to that episode. It's pretty cool. And then we've tried to navigate that with them because they now live in... Yeah, so now they're long distance friends for us. So they live in Milwaukee. Yeah. But they are moving to Dallas. So it's like, again, another happy ending. Yeah, so we have survived now this our own long distance relationship. So long distance relationships, they're better when they have happy endings. Yeah. Long distance relationships, they're really great when they don't stay that way. Long distance relationships. Dang, that's a mouthful. I know. Another shout out to a listener, John from Texas. He actually did a long distance dating relationship with his now wife for a season. So. Wow, how long distance? I think she was living in Maryland and he was in Texas. Oh, wow. So, man, that's, gosh. Yep. Whew. Yeah, fun times. But again, another happy ending. Yeah. Long distance relationships, another happy landing. Long distance relationships, they only get harder with time. It's true. Yeah. Long distance relationships, eventually somebody's got to move. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. That's all for today. We want to thank a listener who suggested a similar topic that kind of inspired part of this episode, Chad in Texas, for suggesting Friends for Life. Thanks, Chad. Friends for Life for your life was basically his suggestion. So thanks, Chad. Yeah, Chad. It's so cool that we don't have to be long distance with you because you live around here, right? Yeah, he lives near here. And I haven't seen him in 6 months. Miss you, Chad. Dang, awkward. See you soon, Chad. Hopefully. Bye, guys. Bye.